Looking like a slowly melting snowman, one of the oldest monuments in Vicksburg is a chunky mess. Gouged and chafed, the stone remembering the Confederate surrender looks like it's about to raise the white flag itself. Jacob Kittilstad looks at how a piece of history became pieces of history this Mystery Monday.
Traveling the Union siege lines.
It's been about 60 years since the last Civil War veteran died.
And it'll be positioned along the Graveyard Road, just 2 miles north of us.
And Vicksburg Military Park guide Will Wilson says on the grounds, not even the trees were alive to witness the siege of Vicksburg.
This is the surrender interview site.
Mostly, it's the metal that survives.
We received this cannon and placed it back here at the surrender interview site in 1990.
This upturned cannon is considered the surrender monument, placed at the site where Major General Ulysses S. Grant discussed the surrender terms with Confederate Lieutenant General John C. Pemberton. But the cannon is not the original.
You can see here where veterans perhaps, would just come and take a knife to try and carve out a little piece.
Craggly and scarred by knife point.
You can actually see one right here.
This 7-foot-tall marble tower, which you could just miss at the visitor center, was ordered by federal soldiers in 1864. A ball meant to sit on top is now missing, along with perhaps some of its dignity.
And that was due to the fact that it was left pretty much in the country, unattended.
And it was this damage that meant possibly the oldest monument at what would become the park was taken off-site.
Major General U.S. Grant.
And sometimes out of the public eye completely.
Lieutenant General John C. Pemberton.
For more than 100 years. It was actually moved to the depot for a time until it was put here at the Vicksburg National Military Cemetery to protect it from relic hunters. But even that didn't fully protect it. Soon it was placed in storage for an extended period of time, until it was brought right back here to the National Military Park in honor of the 125th anniversary of the end of the siege of Vicksburg.
It's not a complete stone anymore.
But the people tasked with preserving this piece somewhat excuse what happened to it. After the city's fall, feeling swirled. What is victory? What is defeat? What does any of it mean? Confusion could mean some just needed a rock to hold on to.
And these veterans wanted a type of souvenir that they could take with them, not necessarily wanting to vandalize it, I don't think, but something to hold with them, to carry with them, because they were there.
Exploring the unexplained this Mystery Monday, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
This is indeed how the entire battlefield would have looked at the time of the siege.
Fascinating. The second surrender monument also had to be rediscovered. It was actually sent to be melted down with scrap metal during World War II. It would later be found at Fort Sumner. Every driver knows that to get up a steep hill, you need a good push on the gas pedal. But in Tishomingo County, locals have discovered a place that's quite the opposite. Jacob Kittilstad hits the road this Mystery Monday.
Busted wheels or blown engines, the cars can't always get to Long's Auto Repair by their own power.
Okay, a lot of times when this happens, that means there may be something going on with the compressor too. So
that said, work keeps rolling into the shop on Iuka's city limits.
I've been messing with cars ever since I was a kid. I returned here after my military days because I was born and raised here, and I just like the little town and stuff, man. It's one of the towns you have to live in it to understand it,
But even Mr. George Long doesn't quite get the stories of Gravity Hill.
You have to figure that stuff out all over again and stuff.
An urban legend talked about by everyone from teenagers to regulars at the corner barbershop.
I know where it is, but I've never tried it. It's on Turnpike Mountain. You go down one side of the mountain and you stop your car and you go back up here.
I grew up knowing about this place. When I was really small, I knew about it.
Ronnie Garrett was born and raised here on what's known as Turnpike Mountain. He says it was his grandfather who first told him the story about the helpful ghost that lets people save on gas money by acting as an invisible tow truck.
You can pull up here, you put your car in neutral. Usually you start about halfway up this hill or at the bottom, and it will normally roll all the way up it.
But do you know what makes a ghost story even better? How about some proof? The urban legend says if you put some flour on your bumper, you'll be able to see the fingerprints from where the ghosts help push you. So, the weirdest thing is happening right now. It really feels like I am being pushed or pulled, somehow going up this hill. I mean, the car is in neutral, but for good measure, I'll kill the engine. Still moving up to 6 miles per hour. But it looks like that flower is still untouched. That's probably because ghost fingerprints have always been a local prank.
When I was in college, I'd bring my friends from the dorm. We would do that as a joke. We've had engineers come out and shoot the grade and everything, and they say it's an optical illusion, that it's not really uphill.
Proof that looks really can be deceiving,
Take a right and you'll go over a railroad track.
yet still worth the road trip.
You'd have to come off a big hill to roll up another hill, you know? That's why I look at it and stuff.
Especially for a mechanic who thinks he knows almost every way to get a car back moving.
And if I get it done today, oh well, that's good. If I don't, it'll be still here tomorrow, so it ain't gonna work.
Exploring the unexplained this Mystery Monday, Jacob Kittilstad, WJTV News Channel 12.
There are hundreds of gravity hills recognized across the world. Now, the optical illusion comes most of the time from the fact that you cannot see the horizon. Windsor Ruins might just be the most iconic historic site in the state of Mississippi. Thousands of tourists travel there every year. But what if I told you there's a surviving piece of Windsor that most people don't see and don't even know exists? Jacob Kittilstad steps into the story this Mystery Monday.
The clanking metal of the steps leading to Oakley Memorial Chapel somewhat complements the music inside.
So on any given Sunday, the Hammond organ and these drums and this piano are used.
The Reverend C.J. Rhodes is new to his job at Alcorn State. He's held his position, Director of Student Religious Life, for just 1 year. And he's still learning all the history that comes with this 175-year-old chapel.
It became sort of the heartbeat of the campus in terms of convocations, educational events, as well as religious life. And the stairs come from Windsor, the Windsor Mansion.
Or as most people know it, Windsor Ruins. 23 columns, each 50 feet tall. Crumbling stucco reveals once hidden bricks. Pre-Civil War in its construction, it was built by slaves. It was built by artisans. A huge effort with only one recognized historical drawing left in existence, and you're looking at it right now. And just seeing the massive structure, it's kind of hard to believe, as the story goes, that all of this destruction started with just one cigarette.
It's thought by oral history, legend, that it may have been a guest accidentally burning the house down when they were up in the cupola. They were viewing the river. They were about to go down to go to a dinner party. One of the guests may have thrown down a cigarette or a cigar.
Wood burns. Bricks don't. Neither does cast iron. MDAH doesn't have complete records of the transaction, but considers the staircase a family gift to Alcorn State, a college meant to educate freed slaves.
Most people have heard about Windsor. When you go out to Windsor, even though it's in a rather remote area, I've never been out there when there wasn't another visitor or tourist coming by there. And Alcorn is just right down the road. But whether people know about it, I'm not really sure.
I think every time we walk on these stairs to enter this chapel, we think about the labor and love of our ancestors, many of whom were in chains and prayed for a day when not only they would be liberated, but their grandsons and granddaughters would be liberated. Their labor and their love has built a foundation for us in this 21st century.
That was Jacob Kittilstad reporting. Before Alcorn State, another school used the campus. The president of that school was assassinated after expressing support to abolish slavery. Those stairs are now placed next to his former home.
Nebraska, 1,204 pounds. Georgia, 1,252 pounds. Mississippi, 438 pounds. Yes, the Magnolia Estate's record pumpkin set 10 years ago in Fulton by Gray Underwood is about a third of what other states measure. So what are our farmers doing out there?
Well, it's a learning process. You know, they were bad.
David Boyd's been working pumpkin patches in Rankin County for nearly 20 years. Hold on, let's take a more impressive shot. There you go.
I said, can't believe there'd be 500 folks who want to come through here to see a pumpkin. A lot of leaves and foliage on them.
But they would come, but those pumpkins.
We found out after a couple of years that our heat and humidity didn't work real good for the pumpkins.
In fact, the last time he planted 14 acres of pumpkin, he only brought in 900. That's not a good return.
We were told to plant them about the 20th of June, and the last of August, 1st September, we had a field full of orange pumpkins, and there's no market for them. That's a baby pumpkin right there.
The folks out here at Nichols Boyd Pumpkin Patch plant after the 4th of July, after a rain, but the fact is wet weather also breeds mold, and they have to supplement crops with imports from Texas to stay afloat. But no need to cry about it. Farmers say that largest pumpkin in Mississippi record is more than breakable. It just might take more love and attention than in other states.
Big ones, they have a shade over them and pet them and talk to them, and we grew some, 100-pound type, but they're ugly. They don't even look like a pumpkin.
And hey, at least Mississippi is doing better than number 50 Delaware. Their top pumpkin only weighs 420 pounds. Getting you answers in Rankin County, Jacob Kittilstad, News Channel 12.